What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Squadcast73. I'm joined today by Solomon. You guys might know him as Soloflow7 on Instagram.
Yo, what's up?
There you go. Dude, first off, we're honored to have you here today. It's so cool that you were able to swing by. For those of our viewers who might not know what you do, would you mind filling them in?
Yeah, I'm obviously the flipper, the one that everyone knows of, that does crazy stunts off of high things, and everywhere I go, I basically see life as a playground. So I just kind of just want to jump off everything and just like flip everywhere. So
So I'm so fascinated because I try to stay on my 2 feet as much as possible.
yeah,
When did it start where you were like, what can I do that's not normal?
yeah,
Like,
exactly. So basically, like I was just a casual kid. I was like playing like team sports when I was like 10, 11, and then I realized like I need to do something like that stands out as like not normal. So I was like flips. I saw it on YouTube. I was
YouTube.
like, this dude is like a ninja. I saw someone running up walls and flipping off stuff, and I was like, I gotta do that. I gotta be like someone who like stands out as having a crazy talent.
So you're self-taught, because I would have thought instantly like gymnastics
Yeah.
or something like that.
That's the question I get. Everyone's like,
Yeah.
so you obviously started out in gymnastics. I was like, no, I actually never liked structured stuff. So like I never liked structured team sports or being coached. So I just got a trampoline in my backyard and I just started doing it on my own and
That's
progressing
crazy.
like crazy. Yeah, it was like all independent.
So
and
you learned,
self-taught. Yeah.
obviously you learned basically everything on trampolines and then YouTube tutorials.
I didn't do many YouTube tutorials, but I definitely was breaking world records on trampoline as I was picking up and progressing really fast. So
That's great. So
yeah.
you were literally breaking actual world records
Yep.
while you were like learning how to do it.
Well, I had gotten to a point on trampoline where I was like, okay, I know, I understand this. Like
Crazy.
I controlling
Mhm.
everything. I just got super aware of my body and knew where I was in the air. So I just kind of like began to break all these world records, and like that's how I started to get a following on Instagram. I started posting content every day. So
That's crazy. So when was that, from the point where you're like, I need to do something that sets me apart, to the point where you're like, hey, I'm world record holder Solomon?
well, I guess I didn't really like call it a world record at the time, but
Mhm.
like it was definitely things that nobody had done. So it wasn't like labeled world record, but everyone
Sure.
was like world's first. Like you did that. You're the only one who's done that specific combo and stuff like that. There were like really specific combos on trampoline, but then I took it to the ground. And I mean, I could always do like ground backflips as
Yeah.
well, but like the stuff on trampoline is more advanced. Yeah.
It's mind blowing to me because, I mentioned to you earlier, my life is basically a struggle every day to not roll my ankles.
Yeah.
I sprained my ankle once playing high school football. And then from then on, it's like I have just been so careful, because once you sprain it once, it's always a problem.
Yeah.
And I talked to you and I was like, how many injuries have you gone through? And it was surprising to hear that you really haven't.
Yeah.
Is that just because you know what your limits
yeah,
are?
that's the thing. Like I'm super like aware of my limits, and I know not to push it too far and not to push it too less. Like it's like I just know where I'm at. So I guess because of how controlled I am, I don't really get injured much.
It's like a healthy respect for your
Yeah.
craft. Now, I think what people would be super interested in hearing is, when you're, we watch you before you take off, you start to bend your knees, and there's
Yeah.
like that moment you have where I can see you're processing what you're about to do.
Yeah.
Can you like take us through what your thought process is, not only from the point where you're about to jump, but then when you're in the air? Is there anything going on?
Well, I visualize what I'm gonna do before I do it, obviously, and I have like muscle memory for like when I take off and when I flip and tuck and land and all the timing. I have that down as second nature. So it's basically like walking to me. So
Yeah.
that's why like a lot of people recognize me as flipping, because I do it super controlled and like I can just, I don't know, it just looks like I'm like just able to do it, like born to do it.
You flip the way I would jump,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
maybe
So-
even a little more dialed in. We were talking earlier in the design room, and there was a few people in there, and you literally just from no setup jumped right into a flip.
Yeah, that's how I usually make my first impression.
Well, it's the
Yeah.
strongest first impression
It's
I've
pretty
ever seen in
cool.
my life. It's like we all watch those superhero movies. We watch
Yeah.
Spider-Man, and we leave the theater and we're like, dude, I could do that. I'm going to do it. I'm going to go
Yep.
home. By the time we're home, and the audience knows, nobody's actually like going to start doing it, but you did it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
I used to be a huge fan of like Spider-Man, Batman growing up. Like,
So I apologize if if people are screaming at me now for not knowing this, but have you ever worn a Spider-Man costume and done this?
Not actually haven't done that yet, but I should do that
That
because that's
needs to
smart.
happen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would definitely dress up as Spider-Man for Halloween though.
That would be
Yeah.
epic just to see you in Venice perched up somewhere high and
Yeah,
then you just jump.
exactly. That
It's
would be smart.
crazy. So you mentioned being in Venice. Obviously, it's the perfect playground for something like you.
Yeah.
And that's actually how you kind of found our bikes was because of Jesse. He's the
Yep.
king of Venice.
Yep.
Have you done a lot of YouTube work with people that you admire or, look up to?
I'm from Boston originally, and I've been living in LA now for like 4 years. And I moved out here because I knew that's where like the community was. That's where I needed to network and all the big YouTubers and all that. And obviously, I love the beach and the scenery here. So it's perfect for flipping. And I've been here in the past before to visit multiple times. So I had to move out here. And that's when I started to actually network and like meet all these YouTubers that I like had envisioned to meet.
You
And
seem like you were born and raised California.
yeah, that's true.
I mean, you're repping the
have,
palm trees, the
exactly.
colors.
I've always loved palm trees. It's been like my favorite thing because it like represents paradise.
hmm
Whenever I went on vacation, it was to palm trees and places like that.
That's
So
cool.
if you grow up in the East Coast, palm trees are obviously going to be like amazing to you.
I feel like, yeah, I mean, through your merch that you're wearing
Yeah.
now, everything is very colorful and exciting. That's purposeful. Obviously, what you're doing,
Yeah.
you're not doing the gritty underground LA lifestyle. You're trying to adventure in paradise. Why do you think you're attracted to those colors, to making your brand the way it is? Is there anything
Yeah.
behind that?
It's basically my mind speaking for myself, like as it kind of like my mind is creating all this picture for the clothing, and it's just kind of like where my paradise is what my clothing will be. So it's not like it's like a different fashion. It's more like something that is appealing to me rather than what I think. I mean, everyone loves it though.
Well, for sure. I mean, you can't go wrong with, and I feel like your stuff is so, there's no pretentiousness to it. It's all like inclusive and it's
Yeah.
kind of cool because you said a lot of people look up to you in the community.
Yeah.
And you're kind of a leader in that
Definitely.
world.
Yeah.
And that's really cool. I think that's what every community needs is a leader who's a man of the people or a woman of
Yeah.
the people. And so I see that with you. People are naming their Instagrams after you.
Yeah, they're doing like Roloflow, like
That's so
Toloflow,
cool.
a bunch of funny like names.
So do you meet up with those people ever? Do you guys have like Venice meetups? and stuff?
Sometimes, I mean, I'll be in Venice Beach because a lot of people know that's like iconic for me. I'm always there making content there, and a lot of them will meet me there and take pictures or film with me, and I love that. I love being interactive with fans.
You seem like you're out and about a lot. So you
Yeah.
do YouTube, obviously.
A little, I'm mainly Instagram, but I do a lot of YouTube collaborations.
So that's what I'm kind of leading into. Like, what
Yeah.
was that first time? Do you remember the first time you got hit up by somebody who you admired, who was like, "Hey, I want to work with you"?
Yeah, it was my friend Tanner Fox.
Okay.
He's big on YouTube,
Mhm.
and I had watched his vlogs actually like when I was living in Boston. I just watched them because it was entertaining, and then I finally like knew one person that knew him, and then got to him, and then he saw that I was good at flips, so he was making a bunch of vlogs with me, and then that's kind of how I picked up a lot of traction.
That's so cool. And I feel like we kind of experienced a lot of that with what we're doing here at Super 73. I mean, truth of the matter is I was watching Jesse when I was in high school on
Oh,
YouTube.
really?
And now to be able to do a custom line with him and he's like
Yeah.
our go-to guy, it's crazy. And it's really cool when you make something of worth and when
Yeah.
you put something out that's valuable, suddenly all those walls come down.
Yeah.
Because you're saying, you're in Boston, sitting at home, probably not the happiest you could have been.
Yeah,
And you were looking at this life that people had.
exactly. I just needed to take the next step. I fulfilled myself to the maximum, like in my flipping, my training, and all that. It was all in Boston, and I got to a certain level where I was like, okay, I have this down, but I need to take it to like a business side and like kind of network with it, and not just be making videos in my backyard in Boston. I had to like just grow my personal stuff.
And we talked a little bit about that, where this started as like a party trick,
Yeah,
but then you turned it into
exactly.
a business.
yeah,
And that's crazy because I feel like not a lot of people are able to achieve that.
Yeah.
And it's really special to be able to say, I'm going to monetize this and I'm going to monetize it in a way where it makes more people into it.
yeah.
Because
exactly.
a lot of times people, they say it's selling out, and it's
Yeah.
like what you've done is so far opposite that because you've built this community.
Yeah.
So what was that mindset for you? Did you have like a mentor, or was this kind of all just
It
your?
was like the timing was just so perfect, honestly. The way I feel like it all happened for a reason. Like it was just like a magical, like something. I don't know, but like I realized that I was like a big
Mhm.
trendsetter, sorry. And and I realized like I needed to take advantage of that, and I was a big influence, and I watched the community evolve like and get bigger every day, like more little kids. It's mainly little kids, like 12-year-olds that do like flipping now.
That's crazy.
Yeah, or the new ones are all like they start out really young. So they're doing a bunch of backyard trampoline stuff, and they obviously look up to me. So that's why I was like smart about making a clothing brand, and like kind of like I don't know, like they feel valuable. Like when they're wearing my clothing, they feel like they're part of the community, the culture. So I love
Absolutely.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And you've done it in such a good way where it's inspirational,
Yeah.
because it's not like, hey, I just slapped my Instagram handle on something, buy it.
Yeah.
It's not that kind of merch. You have a lifestyle brand, and your logo is so cool. I was talking about it earlier. It's not an in your like, it's kind of like the Nike swoosh
Yeah.
where
It's like casual. It's just like
exactly. And
recognizable.
that's so special that you have
Yeah.
that. And that's something at Super 73 that we've been working on. How do we create a logo that just fits into lifestyle?
Yeah.
Um,
We're definitely similar. Like we have similar brands.
It's really
We're
cool,
like,
man. It's cool to see
yeah.
what you're doing. I think it's crazy to think that in like 10 years, we're going to have a bunch of like young 20 something year olds
Yeah.
that have this talent that this previous generation just didn't have.
Exactly.
And that's a huge part because of what you're doing and what your friends and fellow creators are doing in that community, where you're saying like, this is something that you used to only see in the movies.
Yeah.
I'm going to teach you how to do it in real life.
Exactly. Make your dreams come true.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And it's something, we say it's something as small as a flip, but there's so much more to it.
Exactly.
And that's like what's so exciting to see. So like we're honored to have you here. It's so
man.
cool to have you in here. And
I'm excited. I love the scooters. I know Jesse, so I saw him on the scooters in Venice, and he had told me about them a little bit. So like this is what brought me here. So
yeah, I'm hyped you're here. We're gonna go ride some bikes and do some flips outside.
I'm down.
And I think we'll come back and we'll kind of recap and close this episode out. So we'll see you guys in a minute. Can somebody hand me a wrench?
Got you, bro.
Whoa. You know what? I actually needed an Allen wrench.
Here you go.
Wow, it is really handy having you around.
No problem.
Okay, wow. I don't even know where to start with that because I don't understand the physics that go into that. And it almost makes me mad because we obviously have the same body. We're both human beings.
Yeah.
But that is so far out of the reach of anything I could ever do. So props to you, man.
Thank you,
That
man.
is so
Appreciate
cool. We were talking a little bit about the creators that you get to work with or are excited to work with. Who's, you've kind of blown up pretty quickly. Who, relatively speaking, in terms of most people, who are you most excited about that you've like realized follows you or knows you?
So I mean, I was going through Josh Peck, his Instagram. Then I realized he had a picture with Casey Neistat. Then I clicked because on Instagram you're always just like going through people's stuff and
Networking,
finding other people. So I stumbled across Casey Neistat and saw that he follows me. It said follow back. I was like, whoa, that was just super surprising.
He's...
And then I followed him, obviously.
Obviously, you have to.
Because I've heard of his name. Like, that's like one of the biggest names I've ever heard. And I haven't like watched too many of his vlogs, but I'm definitely knew about him.
Yeah. And I think, you're on the right set to be talking about Casey Neistat.
Yeah.
A lot of our community, as I mentioned earlier, came from Casey. He legitimized our bike in their eyes. And that's something that so few influencers can really do, is legitimize an actual product. And he has a network that he's built to legitimize that. So the fact that he follows you and the fact that you now follow him back, it gets me really stoked because I think you guys are gonna be doing some cool stuff.
It was a sign. It was meant to be. That's funny.
Yeah. And so he's in Santa Monica a lot. I'm sure, he's got a bike, so I'm sure you'll be cruising with him in a matter of a couple months. Same with Jesse. I'm excited to see you guys kind of form up a little e-bike gang.
Yeah, there's like a variety. Like now we got the talent, we got the creators.
It's crazy, dude.
Now we're just gonna like put it all together and
And
just
Venice of all places, because it's such a mellow,
it's
like
the best.
it's very humble and laid back, and so it's like a really good playground for you guys.
It's amazing. It's iconic.
So, what's up?
Oh yeah, and I was gonna say, since I go there all the time, that's like where I create so much of my content. I'm just so thrilled to be able to use the bike to get from Santa Monica to Venice every day.
I was going to ask you about that.
Even like just anywhere, honestly. So I'll just cruise. I live in Brentwood area, Santa Monica, so like I could even take it from my house to the beach.
Absolutely.
Beach to Venice. So I mean,
did you used to drive or do bird or what?
Oh yeah. So I'm still to today always birding around Venice Beach and Santa Monica. So
it'll be
I'll
cool.
set that aside.
We'll get you a ride of your own. It'll be the Soloflow7
Yeah, I'm pumped about that.
That makes sense. I'm pumped, man. I'm so stoked you're here. We're gonna go flip over some stuff in the warehouse, and
let's do it.
Obviously our viewers already know you from all the stories you've been in on our Instagram. So I'm really excited to share this little bit of behind the scenes with them. And then I think your community too, because so much of the time you're just like, hey, I'm going to do a flip. But to see kind of what's behind what you're doing is really cool, and it's insightful, and it's cool to see that there's so much thought behind what you're doing.
It's definitely cool. I love behind the scenes stuff, just knowing like what their life is behind what they're doing. So
well, honestly, thank you so much for coming down.
Sure, man.
This was a blast. Can you want to let people know, from our bike world, where they can find you online?
You can find me at Soloflow7 on Instagram. I post daily awesome content.
Cool. And then is there anything else you're doing, like any other like projects with?
Oh yeah, you can look up on YouTube Grav Gang. It's me and my buddies are basically like the Avengers of flipping, and
that's super cool. So you found a way to like build like a community within it. So you're like the flipping influencers.
So it's a whole cast of like the best flippers on social media.
Shoot.
And the most followed flippers. And I basically gather them all together. We live together. We have our own house called the Grav Pad.
That's cool.
But it's pretty cool, yeah.
So you guys are using that house as like a base of operation.
Yeah, and we just launched our YouTube channel. So we're posting like I think a video every week now.
That's awesome. So look up Grav Gang.
Grav Gang or Gravitated
YouTube.
Equations, yep.
Awesome. And then for YouTube, for those of you watching here, that'll be just down below. Cool.
I'm pumped to collaborate and make more content with you guys. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks for coming down again. Thank you guys for watching. Like and subscribe if you haven't. Check out Solomon on social medias. And then we will be seeing you soon for another episode. Thanks for watching.